Well, good evening, everyone. Thank you for attending. Welcome to the Licensing and Public Protection Committee meeting at 7 o'clock on the 30th of July. Councillor Williams has requested a moment. Councillor Williams, would you like to? Councillor Williams.
Yes, thank you. Thanks, Chair. Yeah, I think terrible. Thank you. What's happened? It's a terrible thing. What's happened in Southport? I see young people and they've lost their lives, and quite a few people have been injured. I think public protection needs to be first in this first meeting after the event. I think a minute silence will be appropriate, Chair. If that's an agreement.
Yeah, please.
Yeah.
You would chime, Councillor Williams.
Yeah, will do. Thank you. Thank you, Chair.
Okay, this meeting is divided into two sections. First of all, the licensing committee and then the public protection. Starting now. The meeting is divided into two sections. First of all, the licensing committee, which has agenda items 1 to 6, and then the public protection committee, which has agenda items 7 to 9. And first of all, I have apologies from Councillor Dimmond, who is substituted by Councillor Richards, and Councillor Wilkes, who is substituted by Councillor Hutchison. Any more apologies for absences? Okay. We move to declarations of interest in relation to licensing matters. Are there any declarations of interest? Agenda item 3 is the minutes of the previous meeting, which you'll find on pages 6 to 8, either of your pack or on the internet that's provided. Would anyone like to make any comments, or are they happy to take that as an accurate record? Yes, thank you. Agenda item 5, which is the first substantive item, agenda item 4 is the consumption of alcohol in licensed pavement areas of sales. If I could actually ask the Officer Gillian Taylor to make comment on this, please. Thank you, Gillian.
Thank you, Chair. Yes, I'll take you through the report. The purpose of this report is to inform the committee of a Home Office consultation that it has recently closed in relation to amendments to the Licensing Act 2003 to support businesses with alcohol consumption within licensed pavement areas, not sales of alcohol. So the background to this is that in 2020, the Business and Planning Act made significant changes designed to help premises survive and bounce back from the pandemic and to be able to serve alcohol in pavement areas. So the provisions within that Business and Planning Act was essentially a new pavement licensing regime to be administered by local authorities, designed to make it easier for premises serving food and drink and to seat and serve customers outdoors due to temporary changes to planning procedures and alcohol licensing. And that provision was subsequently made permanent through a further change in legislation. The second provision contained within that was alcohol licensing changes that allowed operators with existing alcohol on sales licences to serve alcohol consumption off the premises and to make deliveries. So that second provision within the Act that related to off sales of alcohol, permitting alcohol to be consumed in areas covered by payment licences and for premises to allow the takeaway and delivery of alcohol, that particular provision comes to end on the 31st of March 2025. So the purpose of the consultation that's recently been out is to seek views on how best to amend the Licensing Act, continue with those measures to support the hospitality sector. Now, because of timescales with this consultation, a response has already been submitted, but that was in consultation with the chair and vice chair of the committee and the portfolio holder. So this is essentially a report to note that response. The options that were put forward in the consultation were option 1, to make permanent temporary regulatory easements for off sales, whereby any on sales alcohol premises license automatically covered off sales as well. And essentially in regard to that would have been very simple to administer, but it was felt that it would be difficult to deal with should any problems occur with those off sales elements. So the second option was to amend the Licensing Act to extend the definition of off sales, so this includes consumption in a licensed pavement area. It was felt that that allows premises to serve alcohol covered by areas they have a payment licence for. It allows greater scrutiny to be given to the off sales element. And the third option that was put forward was to amend the Licensing Act to permit on sales only premises licence holders the right to make off sales to any areas for which there is a pavement licence. And essentially option 2 and option 3 are very similar, but option 2 it have a much more complex process for the off sales procedure. So following consultation with the chair and vice chair of the committee and the portfolio holder, the officer submitted the response that option 2 was the most preferable of the 3 options. And the basis for that was that the option supported the businesses that hold pavement licences to continue as they currently are. It also offers a scrutiny for those wishing to offer takeaway and or delivery service. And it was also the easiest to understand and implement. Thank you.
Any councillors have any comments or questions? Councillor Sweeney.
Madam Chair, yeah, no, I support option 2. I think it makes the right blend.
Not on.
The lights on. No, that's what feels like it. No, it's not. I support option 2, so I think it's the right blend of allowing people to sell alcohol in certain areas. But not a free for all, so I think it's the right blend of mixing. I was down at outside Java on yesterday with one of the board members, and sitting down on Java and I've been up and down the Iron Market. People sitting outside having a drink, having a beer, or a cup of coffee and a cake or whatever. It was absolutely delightful. I think I said this before when this matter's been brought up, and I think this gives us enough control to enable this to carry on. I totally support it. Thank you.
Any other councillors have any comments? Councillor Williams.
Yes, thank you, Chair. I agree with what's been said. It is the best option of the 2, where we allowing businesses there to carry on with outside the extension of their premises being outside. Excuse me. And I think we can keep if there's any problems, we can keep hold of those problems and bring back to the committee. So yes, I totally agree with number 2, and it's nice to see Councillor Sweeney using the Java Cathy. Let's let independent Cathy. Thank you.
Any other comments from councillors? I just think the promotion of the cafe culture in our town centre will encourage people to shop there and spend more than.
We've got some of the best chairs, haven't we? We've got quite a few chairs there.
Thank you, Gillian. We go to the next item on the list. It's item number 5 on the agenda, the Gambling Act 2005, a review of the statement of the licensing principles and the gambling policy. That's pages 17 to start again. Item 5 is the Gambling Act 2005, the review of the statement of the licensing principles and the gambling policy, and that's on pages 17 to 50 of your agenda. Gillian, perhaps you could give us a resume.
And so yes, this report is to discuss and review the consultation process for the council's gambling policy. So under section 349 of the Gambling Act 2005, the council has a statutory duty to review its gambling statements set out in the gambling policy every 3 years. The council last published its gambling policy in January 2022, and that remains in place now until January 2025. So we need to go through the process to ensure we have an appropriate policy in place from January 25. And the policy is designed to meet 3 licensing objectives, which is to prevent gambling from being a source of crime or disorder, being associated with a crime or disorder, or being used to support crime, to ensure gambling is conducted in a fair and open way, and to protect children and other vulnerable persons from being harmed or exploited by gambling. So the previous policy that we had has essentially served us very well over the last 3 years, and therefore there's only a few minor changes proposed to that policy. And they are essentially only in relation to the contents page, which has been renumbered. The website links have all been updated to ensure the policy is current. Dates have also been updated. Minor typos have been amended and changed, and some minor wording and phrasing has been amended. So essentially, the gambling policy that appears in the agenda is very much a updated and improved version of what we currently have. The legislation does require specific groups and organisations must be consulted as part of this revised policy process. That includes the Chief Officer of the Police, persons who carry on gambling businesses, persons who might be affected by those businesses. And there is a full list of the people that we intend to consult on page 3 of the policy. Additionally, it will be advertised on the council's website, be it Castle House and Kidsgrove, and also will be in communication with all elected members. So the request to the committee is that to receive the report in relation to this proposal, to approve the draft gambling policy for Newcastle-under-Lyme, to approve the commencement of a 6-week consultation on it, and any responses received to the consultation be considered by the committee at the meeting to be held on the 29th of October 2024, and the recommendations of this committee be included in the final report to full council, and that the updated policy be presented to full council at its meeting on the 20th of November 2024, in order that we have all the processes in place to have it published for January 25. And there's also a timetable in the report to identify how we will ensure we achieve that date.
Thank you, Gillian. Do any councillors have any comment? The previous report just needed to be noted by this committee. This one has the recommendations that we need to approve, which are at point 3 of the report on page 18 of your pack. Does anyone have any comments that they want to make or questions to ask the officer? Councillor Sweeney.
Thank you, Madam Chair. No, I support this. I think we should just move the consultation. It goes on 6 weeks, and sooner it's done, the sooner it's finished.
Okay, so we received the report, so it's 3.1 through to 3.6, approve the draft policy, approve the commencement of 6-week consultation, any response to be considered, and the updated policy to be presented to full council. Is everyone in favour? Yeah, thank you. The final item in the pack is item 6, which is the minutes of the licensing subcommittee meetings, which you found on pages 51 to 52. Is everyone content that they're an accurate record? Okay. Thank you, Councillor Williams. We move on to the Public Protection Committee matters now, which is the second part of the agenda, which you'll find on pages, I'll see what happens, 53 to 70 through to 76, your pack. 51. Oh, sorry, it's 51.
Look at this,
I'm going to put my glasses on.
mixed up, Chair. It's too much.
I'm going through the pages, not easy. Gillian, perhaps you'd, it's a resume.
So this report introduces the food service plan for 24-25 with the request that the committee endorses the plan. So essentially this plan is a comprehensive roundup of the food safety service that's operated by the council, and it's written to a template that's designated by the Food Standards Agency, who are our governing body in relation to our food safety activities. The plan initially sets out the scene of our borough, our policies, the scope of our services and our resources, and it also details the demands and activities on the service. But if I could take you to the appendix where the details of food safety activities are detailed. If I take you to page 62.
Oh.
And that it starts with identifying the demands on the food service and the details of the food businesses that we have in the borough. So as you'll see from the first table on that page 2.4 on page 62, we currently have, or at the start of April 24, we had 1,049 food premises in the borough. And I apologise, I noticed a typo in the first line which says 1,040. So we will amend that. But essentially, 1,049 food premises throughout the borough, which is everything from corner shops through to pubs, through to approved premises of meat wholesalers. In relation to all those premises, they are all risk rated, and the rating, the risk rating that they present is banded from A to E, and whichever category they are, A to E, indicates how regularly they are inspected by the food safety officers. So for us, because we don't have any of the really high risk A premises, that's either every 12 months through to every 24 months. So on the following page, on page 63, the table identifies then the food safety inspection regime, essentially, which identifies how many food premises will be inspected this year, in which risk rating, identifying a total of 531 to be inspected through this year. 29 of them are identified as unrated, which means they're new premises. So at the moment, we don't know the full activities carried out, and they are prioritised for visits so that we can ensure that their activities are safe. It is an area where there is a lot of churning businesses, so we do see a lot of new businesses coming online, and unfortunately some businesses choosing not to continue. In relation to the businesses, we also have a number of premises that are described as approved food establishments, and they're the wholesale businesses supplying food of animal origin. So with the approved premises, there may be meat establishments, fish and shellfish, or raw dairy products. So we do have 6 approved premises in the borough, all of which are under the category of meat establishments. So they are also within our inspection regime. Just to mention here that last year we did have an audit by the Food Standards Agency in relation to our approved food establishment inspections. They do have an inspection programme throughout the whole country where they will go into local authorities and carry out an audit. They did identify a few areas where we need to include some further activities this year in relation to just in relation to some of our documented procedures, some of our competency assessments in terms of documenting them, and some of our risk assessment activities. So that will also be incorporated into our food plan activities for this year to ensure that we achieved what we need to from that audit. So on page 66, the next box there, that box identifies how our premises have been rated under the National Food Hygiene Rating Scheme. And that is the scheme where premises are given a rating from 5 to 0, 5 being very good, 0 being urgent improvement necessary. And this for me is the really nitty-gritty of our food activities, because it's the communication to the public in terms of what our premises are like, and when they go into them to buy and take away any food to the safety of them. So it's really good to note that the majority of premises are in the 4 and 5 brackets, the very good and good. And just to note that anything that is in 3 or below, the officers will continue to do regular revisits to those premises to ensure that they are undertaking the activities they need to improve. And any enforcement action will be targeted at people in the lower categories. Another activity they carry out is that there are a number of complaints throughout the year in relation to food or to hygiene of food premises. So in relation to food, that might be something like there's a hair in your takeaway and hygiene of food premises, but you've witnessed something when you're in a premises that you don't like the look of and would like further investigation. And what officers do try and do is link that those kind of visits in with their routine inspections, which gets them to understand how the premises is undertaking their activities. On page 68, it also identifies in the box there sampling that is carried out. So we do carry out routine sampling. So going along to premises, sampling cloths, work surfaces. Often there is a national sampling programme, so the Standards Agency may identify where they're seeing particular poor results and ask us to focus on those areas of activity. And again, it's a really good way of randomly just understanding the quality of the premises. So the plan also does ask us to identify the resources that we have available in the team. So to identify that, we do have a team lead for the food safety team. Like I say, that is vacant at the moment, but hopefully we'll recruit that shortly. We have two full-time equivalent environmental health officers. We have 2 technical assistants, a food safety assistant, and a support person to the team. And they're not just carrying out the activities that I've described throughout this plan, they're also carrying out our health and safety enforcement activities as well, which go along with the dual responsibility for the team. Just to mention also on page 72, just see the monthly, quarterly reporting that is due to Cabinet in terms of how the service is performing each quarter. So as well as this annual roundup in the plan, we also do that quarterly reporting just to demonstrate how the service is performing, and then importantly how the premises out there are performing too. And that concludes my run through of the report. Thank you.
Thank you, Gillian. Can I say this is the second time I've gone through this report with you. I just think for the small team that's involved, this is an excellent report, so thorough. and the work that you do actually going to on-site in inspections with such a small team is fantastic. So please send out thanks to the team.
Thank you for all that.
Do any councillors have any questions? Councillor Brown?
Thank you, Chair. Just looking at page 66, I was quite interested to see that in 23 there was 4 incidents of category 1 and 2, but that gone up to 10 in 2024 of those 2 categories that are major improvement or improvement necessary. Just could you give us a flavour of the kinds of things that would trigger that? What are the kind of issues that come up to get those kind of concerns?
To get the major improvement necessary. It would be things probably more around management. So are the temperature records up to date for the fridge, are the cleaning records up to date? Do the staff will have food hygiene certificates? So it would be the kind of the daily running activities that they feel are not where they need to be in order to be able to confirm that premises is running safely.
Thank you.
As I understand it, it's providing the evidence, isn't it, for when the inspections are made that they tend to fall short on, because everybody hates paperwork, don't they? That's where they fall short. Any other questions or comments? Councillor Williams.
Thanks, Chair. Just a comment really. I think, just a comment really. Yeah, it's really important work that our officers are conducting in the borough. And there's more and more people now having takeaways, going out for meals. There are a lot of more premises opening up. And if this is not done right, it has an impact on the health service. People are use the health service if they get any contaminated food, whatever. And I noticed the BBC have done I didn't get any of the details of it, but he was talking about one particular message that had just premises under busy for 2 years, and reasons why, because you know reasons why. I suppose pick something out of the hat. But really, again, going back, it's so important we stick to the routine, stick to the times when they go in, stick to this policy, and hopefully nobody has any adverse problems. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Williams. Councillor Swinton.
Thank you, Madam Chairman. Yeah, it's not my portfolio decision, but I went out with one of the officers just before Christmas, and to reassure any member of this committee, they are very, very passionate about what they do. They're also very knowledgeable about what they do, and saying the premises they inspect are very knowledgeable as well, and all the checklists and everything. And it's really very encouraging, and I think they need great praise for what they get through. But it is that the passion they have for the job is really, really quite powerful.
Thank you, Councillor Swing. I think that shows in the report. One of the questions I also asked was how much notice do these people get? And sometimes it's really grown. And that makes it even more effective. Councillor Hutchison.
Yeah, thank you, Chair. I've been out with the officers and done 2 food hygiene inspections. Both got announced, we just turned up, and both of the ones that I did took 2 hours. And we checked absolutely everything under the sink, temperature of the fridge, temperature of the freezer, and we asked to see the logs when we last checked, which your hand washing procedure for the staff member. I was quite surprised. Each one took about 2 hours, and it was very, very thorough. And as Councillor Sweeney said, the officer I was with, you could see how passionate he was in this area. And yeah, it was a real eye-opener.
Thank you, Councillor Hutchison. Any other comments or questions from the councillors? Can
I just say, I think we should congratulate ourselves on our good health department in that last 30 years. I worked in takeout shops for 30 years and we were always having surprise visits, to be quite honest. And I think we can all congratulate ourselves, we can congratulate ourselves on our department. We always have worked hard, so whatever you. Thank you.
Thank you, councillor Williams. The only thing that we've got to look at then is the proposal, which is it's proposed that the committee note and endorse the content of the service plan. Is that approved? Yes, thank you very much. I did put the cart before the horse big time in that I should have asked for declarations of interest in relation to the topic. But no, the committee said to, I didn't think there was any, but can I just formalise that now, please? Thank you, Jack. Please note. Thank you. I think that goes down under oops. As far as I'm aware, there's just the item number 9, which is the last minutes of the Public Protection Subcommittee meetings, pages 77 to 80. Are they perceived as an accurate record of those meetings? Yes, thank you very much. There's nothing on the closed agenda, no disclosure of any exempt information. There's no urgent business at all. Thank you all for attending. This meeting now closed at 19:31. Thank you all very much.
Okay.
Chair.